guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the holy mess. I previously did a commentary where Roland Martin went off on Clarence McClendon for some things that he said about Kamala and things that he was suggesting about her, as well as pretty much trying to stand up and stick up for Donald Trump. Now, again, everybody has the right to vote for whoever they want to vote for, foolish as it may be or not. But for Clarence McClendon to be someone that is up in his pulpit to make the political thing into a pressure point for his parishioners to influence them to vote a particular way because he knew exactly what he was doing, I feel is a violation of separation of church and state. And even though myself may be someone that believes in God and Jesus and all that, I also believe that as someone who is a quote unquote faith leader, they have a responsibility to not be doing things like that when it comes to their churches in order to keep the status that they are rewarded and are benefiting from, which is their businesses aren't paying taxes because they're seen as a 501c3 charitable organization. So I'm just like, I can't justify what he tried to do because he knew exactly what he was doing, even though he tried to throw it in there like, he says he could never vote for her, but I ain't telling you who I'm voting for. That's none of your business. Well, who else could it be? Well, when Roland Martin shared that and shared his thoughts on it, as well as other people on his panel shared their thoughts on what he said, and he called him a pimp preacher, Clarence McClendon decided that he wanted to seize the moment. He wanted to be able to utilize the platform of Roland Martin, because let's be clear, that's what this is also about. It's about getting more eyes and views on him. Because if you go over to his YouTube channel, somebody who claims that they have this large ministry that is international, there are these so-called prophets, which ain't nothing but a bunch of influencers online that claim that they're prophets of God. They got more views and all that than this man who has a physical building that he is responsible for paying the bills for. When all these people got to do is hit their button, go live from their bath tub, their bedroom, or their toilet if they want to, and these people are drawn in the numbers. So this was about utilizing that moment of Roland Martin's platform, getting people to view what he had to say about Roland Martin and to clap back at what Roland Martin had to say about him, but claiming that he's doing it in the name of the Lord. So I'm going to share this with you guys. All right, guys. So this is being shared courtesy of the joy105.com YouTube channel. They had this clip of Clarence McClendon and his clapback from the pulpit. So let's just go ahead and get into it because I have thoughts.
Now I know why his jumbo-sized panties were in a bunch. Because I have spoken by the Spirit of God against that spirit. And that spirit does not like to be ejected. But I say in the name of Jesus, Roly, keep talking.
Okay, the sassiness. Calling Roland Martin Roly, saying he got his big panties in a bunch because he called out what spirit? What spirit did he call out? Let's continue. And him and his emotions, while the people in the congregation that they're not putting the cameras on, so we don't know how many people are in there, but they're all in their emotions. Yes, Pastor. Woo! Preach what? See, this is when I listen to stuff like this just goes to show me how foolish so many people are that go to a lot of these churches that are a lot of them are just cults. Seriously. And it's sad because it also shows the mindset of people to be easily influenced and manipulated. And so somebody like him who's been in this church world for a very long time, he's probably not in a space. It doesn't look like it, at least from the YouTube channel, because when I was trying to find a video, I went to his channel and I'm like, I don't even know which is which, and I don't really feel like listening to all of that. So I got it from this channel. It doesn't look like for somebody who has an international ministry, he really has a lot of international influence, even online. But let's continue.
That you may know that there is a prophet in the land.
Hear the people? Woo! Yeah. And he's sitting there pointing his finger at the camera. And he's not just speaking like I'm speaking. So that you may know that there's a prophet in the land. So that you may know that there is a prophet in the land. Like, does God make you speak this way? Like, is that his way of operating through you to make you speak in a way that sounds holy? You sound foolish, but go off.
That you may know that there is a prophet in the land. I urge you very seriously to go see your physician. You are already dealing with extremely high blood pressure, and the medication that you have taken has not done anything for it. And I declare to you that there is a cardiac event in your future.
Let me tell you something real. Let me tell you something as real can be right now. Why is it that these people who claim to be prophets always feel that them speaking curses on people, which honestly is the definition of, not the only definition, but one of the tenets of being a witch, that some of these so-called prophets like to do, where they're speaking things on people? They're curses, witchcraft, but you claim you're a prophet of God. But even so, let's just say that he actually is. Do you really believe that that is God operating in this way, having you to call this man out like this and claim that he has a cardiac event in his future, and the the prescription medication that he's taking isn't doing anything for his health and he needs to go and see the doctor? You really feel like that's something that you need to be doing on a online for the public? You couldn't have written him a letter. You could not have sent a message to his direct message for whatever social media platform that he uses. Roland Martin, he's a business person, so I'm quite sure he has an office that you could write a letter to or you could call. And I think he might even have his phone number. So this right here is a true definition of sassiness and clapbacking that has nothing to do with God. And I get it. People can be larger in size and be healthy. It doesn't mean that they have to have high blood pressure. It doesn't mean that they have to be dealing with heart issues, cholesterol issues, but a lot of times they may be. So him speaking that, it's not a far stretch. It's not like he's proclaiming something that would be out of the ordinary for somebody like Roland Martin, who looks like Roland Martin, to have and to be dealing with or battling. I really I really can't take it, but I'm going to continue.
If you continue to put your mouth on men who are actually sent from God, I declare to you that the only place from which you will be able to call my name is a hospital bed if you do not watch what comes out of your mouth concerning God's servant. That
Do you really believe, if you believe in God, do you really believe that God is doing that to people who people talk about, these so-called prophets? Do you really believe that God is punishing these people? That is a form of a fear tactic. and manipulation to control people, to prevent people from not just saying things about them, but about doing things about the things that they know and about the things that they're saying about this person. So that's how a lot of people in these churches have been able to be in these spaces of control, because they will misuse a scripture like, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. What harm is he doing by speaking about you and calling you a pimp preacher? Besides hurting your feelings. Because the people that like Clarence McClendon, they're going to still like him. Nothing that Roland said is going to stop the people that already follow him and like him from still following him and still liking him. So this is clearly all about his ego being bruised and not liking the fact that he was called out on a platform that is larger than his, even though he claims he has an international ministry.
You may know that there is a prophet in the land, so that his drivel might have some impact. But on November the 6th, he will again be as irrelevant as the day he decided to put my name in his mouth.
So he's saying Roland Martin is irrelevant. If he's irrelevant, then why are you speaking about him? Why are you clapping back when you feel like you were clapped at in the first place? So clearly he's not irrelevant. You may not like him, and there may be a lot of people that don't like Roland Martin. I'm not sitting here as his cheerleader either, but for him to say he will be as irrelevant on November the 6th as he was before, clearly you're bothered by him. Clearly he was very relevant enough for you to take time out of your Sunday sermon to be in the pulpit clapping back at somebody. How unrighteous could you be?
No serious news source takes him seriously, nor do I.
So what he's saying, no serious news source takes him seriously. You can have your opinions about all of these media outlets. I clearly have mine too. But Roland Martin has been on CNN. He has been on MSNBC as a guest on multiple occasions, CBS. So for him to say that just because Roland Martin has a digital show that he actually owns, so he's not an employee of anyone, he is a business owner, he is an entrepreneur, whether you respect the business he has or the platform he has or not, he's not grifting from anyone. He asks people for donations. They choose to give if they desire, but he's not out here manipulating anyone to say that God said that you need to send your money to Roland Martin Ministries, making his business into a ministry so that it can be tax free and so that he can live off of the fear that he evokes in people to make them give their money. Wow.
And pulpiteers will take their news and their vantage point from a guy who is dragged on social media after sexual content pops into his on-air segment. Let's read on.
So he's bringing gossip into the pulpit, right? Because this is gossip. Whether you believe the gossip or not, this is gossip. And that is gossip that really has nothing to do with what Roland Martin said about him. Because let's say that this is true, that he did have some sexual content pop up on his screen while he was on air. Shit happens. But he ain't up in nobody's pulpit claiming that he's a preacher and doing that stuff. And two, he is speaking the truth about Clarence McClendon, or spoke the truth, I should say, about Clarence McClendon. So whether you like it or not, this has nothing to do with God. Him taking a article, a gossip, an article about gossip to bring that into the pulpit to address Roland Martin and to try to clear him and to shame him.
This guy is under harsh scrutiny on social media for his on-air segment was sprinkled with some shockingly inappropriate imagery. Hide the children. It's about to get PG-13. The prominent political commentator recently found himself being dragged online after head-turning mishap during one of his live streams. The jarring incident sparked speculation around the journalist's personal life and level of professionalism when it comes to his media operations and practices. Let's go on. While offering political commentary on Kamala Harris's recent interview with CNN, the stream unexpectedly cut to a scene showing a man undressed and showing his buttocks while walking down a hallway.
You hear the people in the audience, whoo, oh my God, and what? And they're there for the gossip. None of this has anything to do with God. Let's just be clear. And again, this was to drag Roland Martin and to try to shame him, because I haven't heard many people talking about it. And if they did, are they still talking about this? No. So he wanted to bring this back up. That's what that's about.
Now for this guy. I'm not going to call his name. But for this guy, you see him. This guy is a joke. He has been confined to the dungeon of political and social discourse since he was ejected from CNN for running his mouth when he should have kept it quiet, and giving his opinion on things when he should have kept his mouth shut. He clearly did not learn his lesson there. So now he spews his irrelevant venom, hoping his hearers are as uninformed and bewitched as he is.
You know, I know Roland has a whole lot going on right now. It's election day. I don't know if he's made any responses to this, but I really hope that he takes the time out of his day at some point to respond to all of this. I really believe that Roland Martin should. Will he? I don't know. But it is insulting because Roland Martin, whether you like him or not, like I said, I'm not here to be his cheerleader. But Roland Martin, he was on CNN, and for him to say he's been resigned to the confines of his dungeon of giving political commentary, like he's been doing this for years. And Roland Martin has a very long resume in media, still does. He owns his network. And when he goes on to be a guest on these other shows, when they want to hear what he has to say about the topics that they're discussing, they introduce him as Roland Martin, the owner of Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. He owns it. You can't take that away from him. So what he's saying right now is absolutely ridiculous. Even if someone just has a YouTube channel, it's theirs. It's their channel. Now, because it's partnered with YouTube, there are guidelines you have to follow, and there are some things that could happen that might cause it to be taken away. But that's why some people have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 channels. I ain't got time for all that. But I'm just saying, yeah, what he's saying is to downgrade Roland Martin. That's actually what his attempt is right now, and what he's saying is to downgrade him. Roland Martin is not irrelevant. You may not agree with him, but he's not irrelevant. And as much the man, his channel gets tens of millions of views. You can't say that's nothing. He wishes he was getting those type of views,
so that his drivel might have some impact. But on November the 6th, he will again be as irrelevant as the day he decided to put my name in his mouth.
My name in his mouth. It's about him. It's about his bruised ego. He really thinks, the Bible even says that, let no man think more highly of themselves than they ought to think. And he clearly missed the mark on that, because who are you for someone to not talk about you? He didn't put a hit out on you. He didn't say that this man is a mark and I hope that his life ends in the next 24 hours. Like, the man spoke his opinion about what you said in your pulpit about Kamala, and using a moment from a rally where these people were being disrupted to claim that she booted these people out because they said Jesus is Lord. First of all, that's not how it happened. That's not how it happened. And two, let's just say that she was speaking and someone shouted out Jesus is Lord. How is that something that is appropriate to do if you claim to be a believer? You're supposed to do all things in decency and in order. Who are you drawing to Christ operating that way? You just make yourself and honestly the belief in Christianity look foolish to say, "Oh, that's how they are," you know.
No serious news source takes him seriously, nor do I. But it is interesting to me that preachers and bishops and pulpiteers will take their news and their vantage point from a guy who is dragged on social media after sexual content pops into his on-air segment. Let's read on.
All of this again, gossip in the pulpit has nothing to do with God. I'm quite sure that he and God did not have a conversation and he's like, "God, what should I do?" And God said, "My child, go and clap back on Sunday morning in Jesus name." This is stupid.
This guy is under harsh scrutiny on social media for his on-air segment was sprinkled with some shockingly inappropriate imagery. Hide the children. It's about to get PG-13. The prominent political commentator recently found himself being dragged online after a head turned full of professionalism when it comes to his media operations and practices. Let's go on. While offering political commentary on Kamala Harris's recent interview with CNN, the stream unexpectedly cut to a scene showing a man undressed and showing his buttocks. They are watching gay male relations between segments, leading to a major on-air outburst. His sassy behavior makes sense now. One user penned in the comments, he and this have been profiling our blacks for years. At some point, we have to learn it's all a grift. A second alleged his business, no matter what, another defendant. Okay.
Oh yeah, you see how he scanned through that comment. His business, no matter what. And he scanned through that real quick, but he wanted to harp on these people's comments because again, that was a gossip article and people were commenting on it on social media, giving their opinions about it. He's sharing gossip in the pulpit. I'm quite sure God is not flattered or not pleased by that. If indeed he even has anything to do with this man, because quite frankly, I really don't even believe that. I just believe that this man has a church, it's his business, and it's how his life is able to continue to be lived the way that it is lived. But the nerve to call Roland Martin a grifter is crazy. I would label him a grifter before I would label Roland Martin as a grifter.
Here's another. A longtime rival claimed the Democrat forgot to edit the clip. We were all forced to watch his love and admiration for black male buttocks as they casually scrolled across the screen.
Like, listen, like, how is that godly for him to be this so-called prophet of God on a Sunday doing all of this from the pulpit in the church? He didn't go live from his phone on a social media platform or channel that he has. He did this at church.
Now I know why his jumbo-sized panties were in a bunch. Because I have spoken by the Spirit of God against that spirit. And that spirit does not like to be ejected. But I say in the name of Jesus, Roly, keep talking.
I I don't understand how people could go to churches like this. I don't. And to think that this has anything to do with God is beyond me. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
That there is a cardiac event in your future.
Yeah, he already
Out of your mouth concerning God's servant, that you may know that there is a prophet in the land. Because there's no way I would know these things except the Spirit of God show them to me. And you can lie and say it isn't true, but the day will declare it, and God will judge between you and I which one of us be truth teller and which one of us be idiot.
Be idiot. He called him an idiot.
Now, Nehemiah chapter 6.
Bye. Listen, nothing about that was godly, of course. And it wasn't even justified because Roland Martin does this. This is his platform where he gives political commentary. And what Clarence McClendon did was extremely foul. It was not true. And Roland Martin spoke to the lies because he made it seem like Kamala kicked people out of the rally because they claimed that Jesus is Lord. Clearly, that rally has so many people there, and they were being disruptive, and they were letting it be known that they were Trump supporters. So when they were being escorted out, if somebody shouted out Jesus is Lord as they were already being escorted out, clearly that's not the reason why they were escorted out. If somebody in the audience was shouting, "We're not going back," and as you know, people were shouting that, and someone just shouts out, "Jesus is Lord," if that's like all they said and that happened to be heard, they're not getting thrown out of the rally for that. But those people that Clarence McClendon was talking about the media, right? Well, yeah, there are some people in media who have clipped things to make it seem like it was something that it was not. And these people who are for Trump, of course, they wanted to make it seem like this woman, she's not for Christians. And people were at her rally saying Jesus is Lord. And she said, clearly, you're at the wrong rally, and had them escorted out. That is not what happened. So Roland Martin was speaking to that, as well as this man is a jackleg, in my opinion, pimp preacher, based on his history. Based on his history. Absolutely so. Child, living better than the people that are in your ministry, in your congregation. You're a pimp preacher. You're not the only one. I wouldn't say you're in good company, but you're in a lot of company. Just embrace it. But yeah, the sassy clapback from the pulpit had nothing to do with God. All of that was about his emotions and feeling slighted, and then he wanted to utilize Roland's platform and his viewers to get people to view what he had to say and try to embarrass him at the same time. That's what all of that was about. And then if it gets him a few more subscribers and followers, then he feels like he did his job. But nothing about that was prophetic. God wasn't involved in any of that nonsense. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.